We're live. We're live. Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Thanks again for joining us in another stream and hopefully not as culturally appropriate as Jen might make you think, but we are discussing um a very kind of hey DMC. We're
hey Cam.
discussing what I think is an underrated, but it's definitely got a cult status and appreciation in recent years. The Hitcher from 1986, starring C. Thomas Howell, Rutger Hauer, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Jeffrey DeMunn.
Mhm.
Um, I love this movie. It kicks arse. It's directed by Eric Red, who, if you're a fan of horror, you know his work. He also wrote for Catherine Bigelow Near Dark, and what's the one with the dog protecting the family from the werewolf? Christian,
Bad moon. Bad moon.
thank you. He directed that. But yeah, The Hitcher. You've never seen The Hitcher? My
Wow.
Oh,
God, TMC, you gotta see The Hitcher.
what?
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, this kicks ass. Again, um, uh, TV3 and RTE, they used to do horror marathons on Friday nights and weekend nights, and I'd come home from work and I'd stick on the TV and fucking The Hitcher was on. And oh my God, it was fucking amazing. Um, in no small part, absolutely no small part, this film, the premise is cool. It's very simple, but what elevates it is the performance of Rutger Hauer, who plays John Ryder. I think, uh, Jen, you could probably confirm this. One of the influences for the character was the Doors song, right? Riders on the Storm. There's a killer on the road.
Yes, and also another influence because this script had many incarnations, and actually, early, they kind of had a vision of Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. They wanted an emaciated, and he was going to have a voice box actually because they wanted to give it an unusual voice. This went through, and actually, the original movie could have been 3 hours long. It was supposed to be much more gorier, and the scene where the finger and the fries, it was supposed to be an eyeball in a hamburger, and there was supposed to be a graphic sex scene earlier on, and there was a lot of changes from the original because too gory,
Too
gory, and
different vision, creative direction.
and Sam Elliott was actually thought to be play, which I love Sam Elliott, but I don't think anyone else could have played this role
that
like
would
Record.
have been weird.
It wouldn't have worked.
No,
Again, the premise is simple. It's a cool premise, but it's very simple. But what elevates it, as I said before, is
is
the performance by Rutger Hauer. That he fucking sells it. I mean, we're going to get into the character and stuff, and that's not kind of selling out C. Thomas Howell's character either.
or Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think she
Yeah,
really gets unsung with this role.
they're fantastic. As Jen pointed out, this movie was supposed to be a hell of a lot gorier,
Mhm.
which is ironic because it ended up incurring the ire of a lot of film critics and a lot of kind of Bible basher. Oh my God, that scene where Jennifer Jason Leigh was torn in half by the truck. Also, oh, heads up, guys. Sorry, shit. Maybe I should have said that before. Uh, DMC, if you're still watching, go. I'm probably going to tell you not to
Spoilers.
watch the stream. Go back
Spoilers
and
will be discussed.
yeah. But
Spoiler.
yeah, there's scenes with there's scenes that are kind of like in your mind. Again, I think Eric Red was clever. He knew that the human imagination can make a far more grotesque and graphic
Yeah.
image than any kind of Tom Savini or Rob Bottin. And again, that scene that I'm talking about, um,
Mhm.
again, that didn't happen. We just see that character. Sorry, DMC, just forget what we said, but that character is suspended with the truck, and you just see Howard hit the gas, and there's no fucking. I don't think you even hear a scream or anything. Like it's just Done.
I do in my mind, though.
Yeah, you hear it. It's classic Texas Chainsaw approach of like filmmaking of like anything the audience can think of is way more creepy. So just give them enough to work off of, and they'll think of something way more horrifying than what we could actually do with the budget.
Before we get off on the horrifying, because I always get off on the horrifying, one thing I kind of want to backtrack to where Marty was talking about, fun little interesting fact because of the moral majority. Do you know a famous president sat on a board that helped give this movie money?
Wait, what? Was it fucking Reagan?
It was Bush.
Really?
Bush was on a company because
senior or senior?
Senior and stuff, because when the campaigns for his family values, his opponent really went after him for this because Mr. Family Values lent money for this movie, which cool with me. That would make me give him my vote.
It's the one good thing Bush did in his career.
But yeah, fun fact, he was on a board. Now he wasn't the sole person, but he was on a board that gave the movie money. Nice. Mr. Moral Majority himself.
Well, there you go.
Oh, well, I like to fund a movie where a young man helps another individual cross the country. It shows helping other people. That's he probably read a rough draft. Oh, look at this fine young American is helping this man cross the country. This helping this down and out try and reach his full potential. Take my money. That's what I reckon Bush thought the fucking plot was about. Hey, Russell.
Hey, Russell.
Thanks a million, dude.
Love that.
Thank you.
But yeah, so again, very simple premise. C. Thomas Howell is I think he's coming home for the holidays or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know why I think it's a Christmas movie. Am I wrong?
He's delivering a car to California. He's like on a service and he's delivering a car to California. And one thing I like, and God knows, like I fucking love Rutger Hauer, but another unsung hero is C. Thomas Howell, because I was rewatching it last night. And the thing that really struck me is, yeah, he's a kid and he's still kind of in that threshold between boyhood and mandom, but he still acts like a guy, like he's scared, but he's trying to be a man up, and I like the way he does it. He does it youthfully, but where you still know he has some stuff to learn, but there is that manly quality about him. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get what you mean. I've always like joked about it, and I don't even. It's not really a joke, but people give me weird looks when I say it. I classify this as sort of a coming of age movie in a lot of ways.
Yes.
I sort of classify this as like a coming of age story almost.
Yeah, because there's the scene when because he's talking, and I think there's like warning bells going off before Rutger Hauer actually does anything and stuff, and you see him talking, and like Rutger Hauer tells him, "I'm gonna, that car there. Well, the reason he can't walk good is because I cut off his legs, his arm, and his head, and I'm gonna do the same thing to you." And you can see him just sweating bullets, but he also kind of commands it, like there's like this boyhood, but there's also this kind of man, and he's trying to assert himself.
Trying to discover himself and figure out like what kind of person he's going to be.
Yeah, and he's not going to be
in a transitional period of life.
He's not a little chicken shit, but he still has that boyish charm there to him too, of where this is a situation he's way over in on his head. Yeah. And I like the line right before where he's like, "My mom told me never to do this." Again, it kind of shows between that boyhood. So.
Yeah, it's. Don't worry, Russell. We're not discussing that fucking piece of shit. But yeah, so as Jen says, he picks him up and he tells him, I just made shit of the dude in the car we just passed. Do you want to live or do you want to die? And fucking fair fucks to see Thomas Howell, because I don't know what I do in this situation. He fucking opens the door, fucks him out. He's just like, fuck you, you. And he's like delighted. But then you're like, yeah, way to go, see Thomas Howell. But then you see Howard get up off the road and he smiles and he's like, oh, yeah.
I'm going to have fun.
I'm going to have fun with this guy. Because again, okay, right. I'm going to fucking put my chips on the table. What I love about Howard is his character of Ryder does not give a shit about his own well-being.
No,
he almost wants to.
Yeah, he again. I'm going to do connections to a big pop culture character. He was a big influence on a particular character, but we won't get into that just yet. but it's like he just gets up and you just feel that he's like he's probably done this countless fucking times, but this is the first time someone's actually fucking nutted up, and he's like, well, it's about fucking time. I'm gonna play. He's like a cat. He's like a cat who found a mouse who's gonna fucking bite him back. And again, Howard's John Ryder has no regard for not only other people's health and safety, his own personal health and safety. He is just, you don't know anything about him. All you know is he has nothing to lose. And that's what makes him such an indelible villain and killer and villain and slasher. I'm going to say it. He is an awesome slasher. He is an interesting fucking slasher. I will take John Ryder over fucking Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers. I'm fucking saying it right here, right now. I don't care if he uses a gun. He uses whatever he gets his hands on to fuck you up. Be it a flick blade, be it a Spas 12 shotgun, be it an 18 fucking wheeler. He's going to fuck you up. And that's what I love about this character. Sorry, Christian. Work away.
Good.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. Oh, also he can use a child with a teddy bear to against you too. I love that's like I know everyone talks about the scene at the end, but I actually think one of the most creepiest scenes in the movie is when C. Thomas Howell, sees this really nice family, and the kids are boom boom boom, and he's boom booming them back, and then all of a sudden he sees who's in the fucking car, and the little kid has a teddy bear, and Wrecker Howard leans over and kisses the kid, and I mean it's just bone chilling. And he's trying, and he looks like, and I love it because again, psychologically, Record Howard's using the psychological weapon with him because it's C. Thomas Howell that's looking like the crazy person. Get off the road, get him out of your car. He's yelling all this stuff, and he looks like the crazy person. And I really like that. That's just a creepy scene.
Absolutely. Like that's the thing that really sets the Hitcher apart, and like Ryder as a character apart from a lot of other 80s horror fairs or slasher films. So I'm with you. I think this totally classifies as a slasher, and Ryder's one of the all-time best. But I really like, he has that same idea as say like a Myers of like just an unstoppable force of nature just constantly moving forward in order to reach his goal.
And you don't know his story.
But unlike Myers, Ryder has a very strong personality, and I think that comes through because of Rutger Hauer's performance.
Oh yeah, and Rutger Hauer's eyes
so intense, and like that scene when Tal's like driving off, and you see the Howard just in the back rearview window smiling. You just like instantly go, well, my pants are shit. Like Howard was just an intense actor, and he brings like this might be the most intense he ever was in any film.
Well, C. Thomas Howell was actually very scared, like not just of the character, but of Rutger Hauer, because off the set when they weren't rolling, he was just an extremely intense person and stuff. And it comes through. And I gotta say, Marty, because when I was watching the movie last night, it really reminded me of someone I know, because Rutger Hauer's eyes are so expressive, and it whirls, and his eyes whirl and twirl madly. And like I know someone else, but they have very loving and kind eyes, but whenever they're up to mischief, their eyes whirl and twirl madly. And I'm like, oh my God, I can see a parallel with these two.
I have never murdered anyone who ever picked me up hitchhiking.
That's a weird way to phrase that.
No, but I mean, you both have very expressive eyes, and like the eyes, not that performance and stuff. And his eyes can be chilling, but there's also kind of just this fun. I mean, if you're
Jennifer Mitchell romance, I'm being compared to a serial killer in an affectionate way. Okay, fuck it, I'll take it. I'm not criticizing. I'll take it.
It's just that his eyes are so expressive, and like they whirl and twirl with this madness, but there's almost a likability if he didn't scare the living hell out of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is as well, because you just feel that he's like, well, I was fucking bored now murdering fucking families on the side. Now I got this prick to mess with. This is gonna be fun. It's like
finally someone to challenge me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that goes on to him influencing another character, which I'll get into later on. So, what happens is he finally finds the wreck of the car with the family in it, and you don't see what's inside, but you just
he
see.
throws up.
yeah, he's fucking dry heaving and getting sick. So you know what happened. The family was absolutely fucking horrendous. And he goes off and tries to find like a sheriff's office. I think does he go to the diner first or the abandoned
No, no,
pe-
like it's a what's a garage? It's a
garage? Yeah.
It's an event, and it's real creepy. And it reminds me, and I feel like you could speak on this better because it reminds me very much, especially with the dust and the desert setting. It really reminds you of there's kind of like two old gunslingers.
This movie always had kind of a Western feel to it to me a little bit. Like it sort of does have that feel like Ryder is like this long forgotten gunslinger just wandering the West looking for his next opponent. Like, he very much. I always kind of had this movie has kind of a Western feel to me, honestly.
It does, and there's so little dialogue between them, and that's even more unnerving.
He pulls he goes trying to find a phone or someone to contact about them being murdered. Ryder pulls up having emptied a fuel tank and fucking sets the place alight. And as he's driving off again, this is fucking Howard improvising. Howard's just driving off, waving to around. That's a hanky fucking blow in the wind. And Howard's like, what the fuck do I do now? It's like, the dude just blew up a gas station and waved at me. How do I fucking deal with it? Who do I tell? If I tell someone, are they going to fucking believe me? And they don't. He ends up then Jen, I made the mistake of thinking I remember this picture perfectly, so it's been maybe a couple months since I watched it, so I should have taken your advice and watched it more recently, but I do know enough that he ends up going to the diner, and he meets up with Ryder, and just the just him in the boot, and he just does this. And just fucking Howard's just there. How you doing? He's like, fucking hell. It's like you can see fucking C. Thomas Howell's character break. And he's like fries and the fingers in it. And it's like, again, if he was to tell any of the authorities, if he used to tell anyone what was going on, he would be like, one, no one would believe him, or two, if he was cornered, he doesn't know what the fuck John Ryder's going to do. So, like, John Ryder just massacred a family in a fucking station wagon. What's he going to do in a fucking restaurant or something? It's just like you don't know. He doesn't know what to do or how to approach it.
Yeah, which is always a scarier situation when you know, there's not a template for this as a general rule. There's not this something you generally have a handbook for. And I really like, because we also are introduced to Jennifer Jason Leigh, and I like this kind of folksy country kind of twang. I don't know why I kind of like that twang she has and stuff. And she could be a bitch, but she's actually nice, and she fries him up a burger, and you can hear him talking on the phone to the cops saying, oh no, I'll stay right here, officer. And you can hear the relief, like, okay, someone else, the proper authorities are going to fix this. Everything's going to be great.
I can rely on the police. They'll save me.
Everything's gonna be A-okay.
And fucking not just any type of police. Backwoods fucking desert fucking hayseed country bumpkin cops.
Yep.
Exactly. And like later in the film, I love what they do with one of the cops later in the film. I really do. Yeah. And he's like, but you can hear the relief, and you don't. And again, this movie I like how little this movie shows, because you don't see his face, but you just hear this kind of relief, like, I'll wait right here, officer. You know, everything's going to be fine. And then he's eating his burger and his fries. And then all of a sudden, ew. You know, it's so awesome. And although I would have loved to see an eyeball in the burger.
That would have been cool, but also logistically like a little weird as to how that would have worked.
As opposed to a finger in the fries.
A finger in the
Well,
fries.
you could camouflage a finger in fries.
Yeah, like how do you hide? Like, would a Ryder had to like cut a eye-shaped hole in the middle of the burger that he could have? Like, how do you hide an eye in a burger?
Well, see, how my mind works is it wouldn't have been a round eyeball. He would have sliced it like a tomato.
I guess, but I don't know. I feel like the logistics of that wouldn't have worked so well.
Maybe not, but the gore.
I think that's probably why they opted in for the finger in the fry instead. It's like it just is a little bit more simple.
Probably, but I do like, she doesn't get a ton of screen time, but I do really like how Jennifer Jason Leigh, and like I said, she could totally have been a bitch to him, but she's actually a pretty solid girl.
Mm-hmm.
I like her. I think she's a very underrated actress, especially, and she's done quite a few horror. She's a horror alum. People don't really remember, but she's done A Single White Female. She did Dolores Claiborne, and there's a lot of other movies she's done as well.
Yeah, she's a great actress. Someone told me she was originally supposed to be Bobby Lee in fucking Evil Dead 2.
I've heard that.
I've heard that rumor as well. Yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but I've heard it.
But anywho, so the cops arrive and Jen, I need you to fill in the blanks in case I'm fucking making a mistake here. But the cops arrive and they end up taking C. Thomas Howell to prison and accusing him of everything like that's going on. And you're kind of like, again, you kind of feel bad for him, but you also feel actually maybe it's not going to be too bad because one of the cops, they're showing him the photos and he's absolutely fucking horrified. He doesn't want to see this shit again. He's just fucking totally disgusted. And they're like, right, put him into the cell. And one of the deputies asks the kind of fucking the chief, do you really think a kid like that could do that? And he's like, nah, he couldn't have done that. So you think, oh, okay, maybe the cops will be like, yeah, we'll let him go. He couldn't have done that. He couldn't have done stuff like that. So Thomas Howell. Hey, Mr. Dan.
Mr. Dan.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
He falls asleep in his cell, and he wakes up, and yeah.
And he's having a dream. There's a dream sequence where he's dreaming about him, and it's kind of, again, it's kind of a Western feel. You hear the horse. I hear kind of horse.
Ennio Morricone kind of music about to flare up. Yeah,
I do. I really hear that, and he's dreaming about him. And again, it's kind of how he's warping him in his psyche. He can't even escape him even in his dreams. And then he wakes up to all this carnage, and you can just see, oh, I am so fucked. I mean, if the guy's willing to like murder all these people, all these cops in a police station, even if it's a podunk town, you are fucked.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
I love that as well because like everyone in the cop shop is dead. All these people had firearms, okay? All these people had firearms. Everyone's dead. He let the dog live, so it can't be all that fucking bad. But
that's what I thought.
The thing is, he also opened the cell. He was probably there's a deleted scene in my head where he's just standing over him. He's like, nah, later. And he just walks off and lets him off. He's like, this is too much fun. So like Howard murders an entire cop shop just so he can continue tormenting and playing with this fucking kid. And that's just wonderful. Again, it's just he's finally found someone to fuck with. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
That's one thing I really like about this movie as opposed to a lot of other fare of the time period in horror is this movie, and even compared to its remake, this movie is an exercise in restraint when it comes to filmmaking. They could have easily, maybe not due to the budget, but like they could have possibly had like a big elaborate like shootout scene of seeing Howard take out each individual cop systematically or something. But they're like, nah, that would be lame, and we don't got the budget for that, more importantly. So we'll just have Hal wake up in the fucking thing and all the precincts entirely dead. How did that happen? I don't know, let the audience figure that out. Like that's this movie is really an exercise in restraint when it comes to filmmaking. I think it does it perfectly.
And it really does, and it shows you sometimes it takes a page out of some of the great classics like TMC and a few others where what you don't see is way more horrifying than what you does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason, the other thing the sequel was, as well as bizarre, was dog shit. But we're not gonna go into that. So C. Thomas Howell, I think he hikes back to is it a bus station?
Yeah, it's a bus station, and he's sitting there, having the thing, and he has a gun. He takes a gun.
Yeah, he takes one of the guns from the cop, which like smart character thing. I love the fact that he's smart enough. We show that he's smart enough to think, okay, I'm gonna grab a gun for this thing.
Yeah, I've had it with this shit, and but which is good on him. And he's sitting there, and the guy there's like this little cafe with the bus station, and he goes in, sits at the back of the restaurant, which I also think is smart because he's like prepared, like
I can watch the door, my back's to the wall, there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, which shows he's thinking, and then all of a sudden, and again, Rutger Hauer just literally almost like a puff of smoke, he's sitting 1 minute he's not there, and the next minute he's sitting across from C. Thomas Howell, and the little bit of dialogue, and he's like, I'm gonna shit. C. Thomas Howell's like, I'm gonna shoot you, and he's like, and he looks down, and I love how Rutger Hauer does the scene, because he looks down like this. He's like, there's no gun, there's no bullets in that gun, and you can see like to see Thomas Howell, it's so quick, but he's like, oh fuck, is there bullets in this gun? But he's trying to play it off like, of course there's bullets in the gun. I love how he does that.
It's great. And again, like it kind of like this scene really exemplifies, and I'm sure we'll talk about this because it's like one of the big great debates about this movie, but like he just mysteriously appears almost like a fucking phantom or a ghost or something, which I really like how the movie plays around with that. Like, is Ryder supernatural? Is he human? And again, much like a lot of things in this movie, it leaves it to the audience to figure out for themselves.
Yeah, and no matter which option you're going to go with, they're all horrifying in their own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like again, the thing, as Christian pointed out, he is you're like 90% sure he's a mortal man, but then there's the 10% of like him massacring a fully armed police station, or just turning up out of the blue, even in a chase sequence. He seems to know where C. Thomas Howell is. It's just there is something spectatorial about him. There's something that's like, is he some demon? Is he some fucking dude who was murdered out in the road for picking up a hitchhiker himself? Is he just like, it's just I am firmly of the belief he is a human. He was just some fucking dude who was just, he probably worked in a fucking office or something and cracked someday and was like, fuck it, I'm gonna walk the earth and fuck with people. But
he could also be a psychosis of C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah.
C. Thomas Howell could be the one that's fucking nuts.
Because there's there are a couple instances, but there's very few instances of anyone else interacting or recognizing Ryder existence. So there's a lot of points in this movie where you sort of wonder, wait, is Hal imagining this, or is like it like a weird like sort of switchblade romance?
Tyler he's Tyler Durden? Is that what you
is Rutger Hauer his Tyler Durden, or are we like doing a switchblade romance sort of thing where he's projecting this person around while he's the one actually doing the killings and stuff? Are we doing something like that?
I'm not the bad one.
Yeah, I'm not the bad one.
Rutger Hauer is.
It was Rutger Hauer. No,
officer.
Mr. Hal, no. Rutger Hauer's been dead for 15 years, like something like that. Like it's one of those situations where you genuinely don't know.
He's just, I'm telling you, it was Rutger Hauer, and they open up the boot of the car and there's 15 copies of Blade Runner. God damn it, not again.
Not another one.
Or Blind Fury. In my head canon, it's Blind Fury. Yeah.
But yeah, so C. Thomas Howell tries making a break for it in a bus, and Jennifer Jason Leigh ends up saving his ass, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And there's this mad fucking chase that occurs, and like they have I don't know how many deputies chasing after them in trucks and a helicopter, and you're like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? Like, what did you think that chase sequence? Do you think it was someone put an action scene into my horror movie, or do you think it worked? Or
Oh, I think it worked. I do, even as a little kid, because this was I'm sure this isn't going to surprise anyone. This has always been a favorite movie since I've been a little kid. And even as a little kid, because there is this shot where you see Wrecker, like pretty much for the majority of the chase, it's just C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh and a bunch of cops chasing after him. And then you get the helicopter scene. But then all of a sudden, you notice Wrecker Howard in this truck, and he has this Magnum, and he shoots up, and the helicopter kind of wobbles.
Yeah, I love that again. Like, it's another one of those things that sort of lands like, is he more than mortal? Because like he takes out an entire police chopper while driving a truck on a bumpy dirt.
Yeah, doesn't. I love that scene as well, because he takes out the helicopter and he fucks with the fucking police cars. And he looks at C. Thomas Howell, gives him a wink as if to say, "You're welcome.
Welcome. I saved your ass. I'm gonna come get you later, but I saved your ass."
Yeah, I love that. I love that scene.
And not only that, he makes it look good.
Yeah, like, it's a really great sequence because it is kind of like it's one of those things where like you very much get the feeling of like Howard's like, I'm going to protect this kid with anything that it takes because I want to be the one that kills them. I will murder anyone who fucking gets in the way of that, whether you're a cop or what. I will fucking destroy you.
He's mine.
He's mine. He's mine. Ray, get your own.
Actually, that goes. Okay, maybe I'm deviating here, and maybe I'm overthinking. But do you also get a slight homoerotic subtext?
Yes,
that's been something a lot of people have brought up in recent years, reanalyzing this film.
Especially when we get to the end.
Absolutely.
And also, like, I'm gonna have to rewind a little bit back because the scene was so good to talk about when they were in the cafe, when outside of the bus stop, and Wrecker Howard's there, and the whole guns, and he hands him this handkerchief full of silver bullets, which I also
I love that it's silver bullets.
I do too. I fucking love that and stuff. And C. Thomas Howell like is shooting, thinking he's, and then he realized, and he's getting up the nerve to do it. And then when he finally does, and the goddamn gun's empty. But before all that transpires, you just see Thomas Howell, and he just looks like he's fucking insane. His hair, he's road dirt, he's got gasoline, and he's just like, oh fucking man, the cops fucking failed me. I was on my way to fucking California. I don't deserve this. I was being a nice guy, giving a guy in a drenching downpour a ride, and this is what I get. I should have listened to Mom. Yeah, but I just love. I mean, the scene of him he just looks so fucking.
He looks so disheveled.
Yeah,
he's just so broken.
And the contrast is Wrecker Howard comes
just
in,
sitting there,
cool as a cucumber, composed. I mean, nice looking guy. Like he's the crazy one.
Yeah,
I just love that.
What would make the scene if like a waitress walked by and he's like, Rutger Hauer's like, yeah, this guy fucking in front of me is a bit, fucking making fun of fucking C. Thomas Howell. That would have been funny.
And also, Marty, I have to interrupt you one more time, and I promise, and we're going to really go backtrack because you mentioned the homoerotic aspect. One of the construction workers at the very beginning of the movie, when C. Thomas Howell's just barely picking him up, actually, kind of insinuates that these two are lovers, right? And you can see the kind of disgust that this construction worker has and stuff. And Wrecker Howard, and I love this, and I feel it was very much improv, like when they're driving away, Wrecker Howard, he goes, okay, sweethearts, you can go. And Wrecker Howard does that kiss and does a little bit of a lisp, if you notice.
He does. I've often wondered if that was maybe a Rutger in
I know it was.
It most definitely, it most definitely was. And you again, my headcanon, he probably fucking followed the construction worker into the fucking bathroom and shanked him. Making fun of my boyfriend.
Yeah, not my man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I do the same.
But So Jennifer Jason Leigh and C. Thomas Howell, they escape. Jen, again, help me out if I'm skipping over stuff. Let me know. But they escape. They escape the cops somehow. They escape the entire fucking state troopers. I don't know how many state troopers they send after them. And they end up.
Marty, it's a podunk place. Wherever they are, it's a podunk place. Like, I know that doesn't fix it all the way, but bear it in mind.
Is it weird though that like when I first watched this movie, I was waiting for like Blues Brothers levels of cops to just start showing up, and just that whole sequence just turns into a full-on Blues Brothers.
I could see that actually in a different
But
movie.
just with Rutger Hauer killing them all. Fucking Illinois Nazi shows up, and just a bunch of other random characters that had nothing to do with the thing. Howard's just like, fuck all of you. He's mine.
What, Jen? What was the name of the biker crew from Every Which Way But Loose? And anyway,
oh man, I can't remember, but
I know which one you're talking about. Oh,
the fucking Black Widows. You know what I do when I see a Black Widow? I stamp on it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it almost. First time I watched, I was like, "Are we gonna turn into like it's a mad world style chase movie with just a bunch of people coming after C. Thomas Howell? It's Rutger Hauer having to fight them all off so he can get them."
God damn it!
That would be, that's kind of where my mind went the first
time.
And
halfway through, you're like, I know he's the villain, but he just murdered a bunch of Nazi bikers. Way to go, John Ryder!
Way to go, John Ryder! Fuck yeah!
He's not.
But yeah, C. Thomas Howell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, they end up hiding out in kind of a CD motel and stuff. And I'm assuming this was where the graphic sex scene was meant to be, because
no, actually not. This was going to be just like kind of a rapey scene with John Ryder and this other character that wasn't in the movie at all.
Oh, I'm so glad they got rid of that.
Yeah, and stuff like that. It was going to be way earlier in the movie. No, that wasn't the graphics. Actually, that was not the graphic sex scene. No, it was because that's another thing I like about this movie is like the little bit of time that C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh have. It's very sweet and wholesome.
Yeah, they have good chemistry with each other. Like it works really well. Like
you can tell there's a budding thing going on.
There is a budding thing. We're like, maybe they could have hit it off if it wasn't for the situation that they're in. But yeah, I'm really glad hearing that was the original idea for it. I'm really glad they got rid of that, because that would have felt really goddamn weird for how the rest of the movie goes.
I guess if you were going for more of a Maniac kind of
I
feel.
guess, but it just doesn't work. Like this movie, like that would have made it feel a little too much like a 70s exploitation film as opposed to what this movie was going for.
True.
I with Christian as well. Now again, simple plot, simple premise, fantastic actor, but some of the shots and some of the feel of this movie is very art house as well.
Yes.
Or am I clasping at straws? I just feel that some of the shots, particularly like with the night shots or driving through the desert or some of the vistas, there's something very kind of very kind of modern art kind of looking style to it. And
absolutely, I would totally agree with that. Like Hitcher has always had like a bit more of a purposeful feel, and like everything's very intentional, and like it's a film all about like just sheer chaos that goes on in this man's life because of this one interaction. But it's a very purposeful, and everything happens like is very planned out and very, very well executed. Like that's the thing that really separates this movie above like a lot of other, like not to say lower brow when talking about other horror movies, but a lot of other horror movies of the time were a little bit more like simple standard, killer going around picking people off one by one.
It has a lot more nuance.
And then you have your final confrontation. This is way more of a character film. This is way more of a film that's like very much purposeful about how it's executing a lot of things, and just wants to it's a story about a killer going around killing people, but it tells that story in a drastically different way than how most other films of the time would.
Yeah, it takes a very simple story, but gives you so many complex options.
Absolutely.
So many avenues you can go down. And I think that's what attracts so many people to this movie.
And why it's still talked about as opposed to like a lot of the fare that came around at the same time.
I would agree. I fucking love this movie. Rutger Hauer's amazing.
Again, like as Christian was saying, that it's there's a level of chaos to this movie where you watch. Like I'm again, and I'm not shitting on kind of classic slashers. But when you watch Freddy or Jason or Michael, you know the situation. These guys are in a location and they're going to systematically kill people. With the Hitcher, it's just Ryder's just fucking. There's no rhyme or reason. All the reason he has is to fuck with C. Thomas Howell. If someone is opportunistically in the way, they're fucked. If not, he'll drive by. He could kill you or he could pass you by. He is a creature of chance. Again, going on to another character that he ended up influencing. But again, there's no kind of slasher modus operandi. This is just a dude who fucking, again, it's happenstance. He blundered it to see Thomas Howell, and he's just fucking with him. That's essentially it. That's the kind of main thing. Jen and Christian have dropped out. I'm gonna let them back in again because there's just an issue. But yeah, again, C. Thomas Howell, just he doesn't know how to deal with this character because Ryder is so unpredictable. He is an agent of chaos, and we'll again get into that with a particular character. But they finally, him and Jennifer Jason Leigh finally kind of escaped the cops and managed to get to the CD motel. And the thing I like, and I'm glad Jen actually confirmed that it wasn't planned as well, was that these kind of movies you expect, oh, they're in a motel, they're gonna bang, you know, they're in this kind of fucking cheesy, shitty fucking motel. But that doesn't happen. And you know, Eric Red, he's been criticized because Bad Moon has kind of a fairly gratuitous graphic sex scene at the start. But I do think that this is fairly reserved to a point that it doesn't kind of resort to just a sex scene between C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Because I definitely think that would really kind of sully what would happen next. Hey, Strange Monkey, how are you doing? Jen and Christian have just dropped off there for 2 seconds. Hopefully they will be back and I will be able to get them back because technical issues and all that, because I am over in Ireland and they're over in the States. But yeah, I'm glad they didn't kind of sully the movie or this scene with a kind of gratuitous, kind of cliched sex scene, because it would definitely lessen the impact of what would happen next. Yeah, because again, spoilers, guys, for it's an old movie, but if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I just want to make sure Jen and Christian are there because when I'm getting into discussing this scene, it's essentially one of the more notorious scenes from the movie, that a particular character is killed, and the way she's killed is again, it's not shown because I don't know how to explain it, but it's done in such a way that you can kind of use your own imagination to kind of piece together what happens. And yeah, it's what caused a lot of controversy for this movie as well. A lot of people ended up getting Mandela affected because they thought, oh my god, this character was torn in half. How the hell could that happen? And yeah, I'm gonna show you here again, spoilers for a movie that's fairly fucking old, so don't say I didn't warn you. Oh, you're the two.
Sorry.
They're back.
Sorry
No,
about
you're
that.
grand. I was just trying to stall. I was stalling them. I brought up a point, guys. Do you think that if C. Thomas Howell and Jennifer Jason Leigh had sex, it would have sullied the events that would have transpired after?
I don't think so.
I don't really think it would have, but I'm also can say like their romance is definitely a thing where like it's a part of the film and you can't analyze it, but it is definitely not the priority of this film. The film's major relationship it wants to focus in on is Hal and Ryder. That's what the priority is. It doesn't. Jennifer Jason Leigh is definitely an important character, but she is definitely a second player in this story.
Yeah, but she's also the humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Also, hello, Lightsaber Addict, and Strange Monkey says he loves this movie.
I do too.
So yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh is tied up to two semi trucks,
Yep.
and Ryder is essentially behind the wheel, and
Yep.
he's got his foot in the accelerator, but he also has his foot on the brake. And the cops nab C. Thomas Howell, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's been caught by the cops." The cops are like, "Hey kid, don't worry. Look, we know you didn't do this. Yeah, there's a bit of an issue here. Your girlfriend's tied to two semi-trucks, and that mad bastard who's been haunting you the whole time. Yeah, he's behind the wheel." So
See,
he
Thomas
gets-
he goes, "Why can't you shoot him? Because if his foot slips, she's gone."
It's such a great, like, it's a simple setup, but like it's a very thought out and well done setup too, because like the movie answers all the questions that you as an audience member be like immediately asked, like, why don't you shoot him? Fucking foot would slip off and stuff. Like it's such a simple but also such a effective and well thought out scene. I think it's so iconic because of how well it's written.
Yeah, it's like a chess move where it's been very well thought out, and whatever.
Meticulous.
Yeah, whatever move you make, it has a counter move.
Mm-hmm.
Do you okay? Again, not talking about the goriness or because the lack of goriness, but were you shocked? Because for me, this was a Janet Leigh, Drew Barrymore scream, Janet Leigh fucking psycho moment. For me, anyway, I was like, oh, she's our hero's girlfriend. Nothing's gonna happen to her. Did you get that vibe with this scene?
When I was little, no, but this sort of set up unrealistic expectations, because you got to remember, Marty, this was an early movie for me, and I just was fucking, I know this is going to make me sound awful, I was fucking delighted. I was like, oh, right, baby, yeah, she actually, I love this scene.
Yeah,
And
the movie actually had the balls to go through and actually kill, like, ostensibly one of our co-lead of the film.
And this is going to sound really sick, but because I really liked her character, like you know me, I like gloomy, dark, mopey kind of things, and it had so much more of an impact. Like if her character had been written differently, it wouldn't have been, but the fact that she was a pretty sweet and nice person trying to do the right thing and help people and help C. Thomas Howell, and she paid with it with her life. And there was a thing of, I think this is where maybe some of where I really respect, this is realism. Sometimes nice people do die.
It's one of those things where if she was just a random if she was just a random housekeeper out at this motel that he was staying at who had no relation to him, the scene would not nearly work as well, and it wouldn't be nearly as iconic or well remembered as it is. It's the fact that we did get to know her over building up over the course of this last little bit of the movie here is why I feel like so many people still, anyone who's seen The Hitcher talks about in this usually the first scene that comes to their mind.
Fun fact about this, Jennifer Jason Leigh actually, she took this role for two reasons. One, she wanted to work with Rutger Hauer again.
Fair enough.
She loved working with him. And the second reason was because she felt that this character was like a real, as she put it, a real person. Like she could really see that this wasn't some glam Hollywood babe. This was just a down-to-earth person who got in way, much like C. Thomas Howell, just was thrown into a situation way over her head. And there's a lot of meaty and nuance to that. She's not playing it glamorous. Mm-hmm. And I really love that. But no, for getting back to your question, Marty, I'm sorry I kind of deviated, but I fucking love this scene so much. Like the gore hound in me would love to see it a little bit more gory, but I understand the impact of less is more.
Also, you say that, and yet that's exactly what the remake did, and its version of this scene has no punch whatsoever.
Yeah.
Even though that character who gets this scene in the remake is like in the movie way more than Jennifer Jason Leigh is in this film, but that scene has nowhere near the same amount of impact or fun.
Yeah.
Christian, was this a Drew Barrymore, Janet Leigh moment for you? Were you shocked when you saw this, or had you explored it beforehand?
See, here's an interesting thing with my relationship to this scene in the movie as a whole. It's one of those things where I watched Bravo's Scariest Horror Movie Moments before I saw The Hitcher. But when I sat down to watch The Hitcher, I didn't remember what movie that they were talking about in that scene. I never remembered which one it was. So when I sat down to watch The Hitcher, I was like, I really, really like this. This is really damn great. And then once we get to the scene of like her that you have pulled up right there of her tied up between the two semi trucks, I instantly got a flashback to the Bravo thing. I was like, oh shit, this is that movie. Oh fuck.
Poor Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Poor Jennifer Jason Leigh. Also, like, okay, now I can actually see what the fuck they were talking about here. Because if I remember, it's fairly high on the original Bravo list.
It's number 9.
Yeah, it's like really high on there. So
yeah, it is, and with good reason. And I don't understand. Like, yes, if there's people like us who really love the film, and it does have a cult following. But like when you hear
it's not celebrated as much as like some of the stuff that came out at similar times as a lot of the slasher fare.
Why do you think that is, Marty?
I think, okay, let's do a roll call. This was 86, 87, right? So
86.
you had, you had other movies like Reanimator, Evil Dead, Return of the Living Dead. You had a lot of gory kind of over the top movies, like splatstick movies. Horror comedies were kind of actors in it in this time period, and I think maybe this was just a little too down and dour for people's tastes. Now maybe I'm wrong, but I
loved it. I loved it. Little Jen loved it.
It's definitely an outlier from the films that it was coming out alongside.
You're right.
It feels way more in spirit and tone with something like, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a lot of 70s horror fare, as opposed to the slasher boom that it came out during.
Yeah, you're right. I just have never understood like Ryder people go, yeah, that's cool, but then they want to talk about some other ones, and I'm like, but wait, this guy's awesome.
He is. He's one of my favorite kind of slasher / boogeymen in horror. So C. Thomas Howell tries to negotiate with him, and that goes as well as the fucking be expected.
Exactly how you think it would go.
What was he thinking?
And she's torn in half like a fucking Mars bar or a Snickers or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Biscuit.
He's about to fucking unload, and the cops fucking come in and haul his ass out of the truck before he can actually kill him, because fucking because Ryder's like putting his head to the fucking gun. Come on, fucking do it. Yeah. He's like, what the fuck do I do? So again, it's an unwinnable situation, which I know I'm annoying people saying this, but it's another element that's used for another character that's influenced by this character, which I'm going to get into. But they both are taken back to the police station. John Ryder's ass is obviously he's obviously kind of just he's been interrogated because he's committed all these fucking murders. The cops don't want to do. And his lawyer, I think his lawyer is played by Armin Sherman, the Quark from Star Trek DS9, and also Principal Schneider from Buffy. I think that's who his lawyer is in a really teeny tiny role. But my other favorite character in this is Jeffrey DeMunn.
Yes.
I like Jeffrey DeMunn. He's so likable, and he's the one that stops the cops from blowing C. Thomas Howell to bits early on in the movie. And he's like, the Ryder's fucking just giving him shit. He's giving them lip. Where are you from? Disneyland. What's her name? John Ryder. It's just, he's giving them bullshit, and they can't find anything on him. They can't find a fucking Tinker's stamp on this dude. Essentially, this guy doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. He's sitting there, but he doesn't exist. He's a fucking ghost. Mm-hmm. They're like, what do we do? Well, I suppose we could let the fucking kid talk to him. And it's like, the Mun knows this is a bad idea, but they're out they're out of fucking options. So they let C. Thomas Howell in. And again, another influence on a particular scene involving the character that this character is going to influence on. I get to that. But it's just so fucking intense. And they're just looking at each other. And again, that homoerotic subtext is coming up because C. Thomas Howell spits in him. And I think he like rubs it off his face and licks it or something.
Yep, he does.
Yeah, and it's like, did he? If he wanted to fuck him, he should have just asked him out instead of holding a fucking blade to his throat. This whole this whole movie.
Seduction. That's seduction.
This whole movie could have been avoided if C. Thomas Howell was not homophobic.
Imagine the end of this movie. You have the two of them staring each other down in the car, about to fucking haul ass and hit him. And fucking Rutger Hauer just pulls out a single rose and just goes, "Would you like to go to the Sadie Hawkins dance with me?" Imagine if
they drive off together with the Days of Thunder. Take my breath away. Fucking, but yeah. Go on, Jen. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like going back, we kind of have to. I'm doing this in your stream a lot, and I'm sorry for it, but we kind of have to rewind back because as a kid, and even now, like my question was because my thing is vengeance. I'm just a very vengeful, angry person. You know that better than anyone. And like I never understood why didn't he just kill him? You know, in the truck, you know, like that. And I always wondered: is there also not just on Rutger Hauer's part, but also C. Thomas Howell? Is he sort of falling in love? Because in a weird way, what Rutger Hauer's doing is seduction.
I mean, it is it is partially an obsession film, which is like that's a tenet of the obsession films. Like somebody has to be romantically interested in party. Like that's.
And I always wondered if that's why he didn't.
Well, there definitely is. Like, there's a lot. I've read several really good movie pieces analyzing this film from like a queer lens, from like modern film analysts and stuff, and they make a really sound argument for the movie. Kind of like it definitely is something where it was absolutely not intentional.
No.
When the writing, but you can look at it through that lens, and it definitely fits really damn well. It's not like some movies where it kind of feels a little bit forced or contrived to fit in. This one, it feels kind of natural looking at it through that lens.
Yeah, there is a slight bit of reciprocation from how near the end.
Yeah.
When he thinks how, again, we'll get to that part. But so yeah, he's like, he spits on him and he fucking wants to kill him, and fucking Damon's like, I'm driving you fucking home, kid, because you've had enough, I've had enough. He's someone else's problem now. Just fucking get in the car. I'll drive you home. And fucking John Ryder's hauled off in an armored truck with two fucking cops, and C. Thomas Howell is in the Munn's fucking truck, and the Munn's driving, goes, I don't know what's going on between you two, and I don't want to know. All I know is I'm getting your ass home, and that's it. And it's just like, yeah, the Munn realizes that the kettle has come to the boil between these two, and they cannot be anywhere near each other now.
Yeah.
And it's cool because you can understand the Munn is like, yeah, this kid wants to eviscerate Ryder, and I don't blame him, but I don't want him ruining his fucking life either. So I'm going to drive his ass home. And as they're driving, and like, you see the cogs turning and see Thomas Howell's head, and he's like, they're not going to get him there. He's going to escape. He fucking killed the police. And the Munn, the thing is, the Munn sees the gears turning in the kid's head. He's like, oh, for fuck's sake. And he pulls the gun on him. He's like, you are going to throw your life away. And he's like, I got to stop him because he's going to do it. And he's like, I think he fires off a shot to get the Munn out of the car. The Munn's like, you were throwing your life away. I don't care. I got to stop this guy. So he becomes the hunter. It changes. The dynamic changes, and he's going on the offensive, and he's going after Hauer in the armored car. And like, Hauer's just there. And again, there's that supernatural element. It's like, can he sense that C. Thomas Howell is coming after him? And he's getting excited. Ooh, my boyfriend's gonna call over. I better get ready, kind of fucking thing. So he's like, Howell fucking pulls up to the armored car, and you hear the fucking shotgun rounds go off, and the door kicks open, and there's Ryder with the shotgun and the jacket. He's ready to play, and I love that fucking scene. That is the best face-off standoff moment. What did you think of the finale, guys? Because I adore this scene.
Fantastic finale, one of the all-time best for a horror movie, in my opinion. Like it's the perfect culmination to this story. It started with these two on the road. It's going to end with these two on the road.
Yeah, and it's also going to end with, and this is a couple of times in the movie, this had a theme of the sunsets with C. Thomas Howell looking at the sunset, because earlier, and it's when he said, I don't want to die and stuff and everything, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, there's some scenes where he's looking at the sunset, and it ends with him smoking a cigarette looking at the sunset, and he's vanquished.
He's won the duel. He's won the duel. The sun can now set on him, and he can go on.
But at what cost?
But at what cost?
Yeah.
Is this now his fate to kind of like a classic Western of like, you may have beaten me in a gunfight, my man, but somebody else is gonna come to find you because now you're the best.
Yeah.
Very similar to that thing. Like, is this his fate now? Is he going to become the next Hitcher? Like, is this
the
just
Ryder?
Is he going to become the next Ryder? Is this just the destiny of anyone who bests the Ryder is to become the next one?
So basically, the moral of this story is don't pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah, that's the moral of this film. Do not pick up hitchhikers.
It's more than that though as well. Yeah, it's don't pick up hitchhikers, but it's no. I know you were joking. But for our less perceptive people in the audience, I still fucking love you guys. But yeah, there is a lot going on, and as I said before, Howard jumps out onto the fucking bonnet of the truck, fucking gets flung off, and fucking run over. And no, he doesn't get run over. The truck shorts out, and he starts unloading the shotgun into C. Thomas Howell's truck, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for a finish, I think he runs him over. Does he run him over, or does he end up shooting him?
Both, I remember.
He does both, I believe. He shoots him a few times, and then he finishes him off. They have that one final scene of them staring each other in the eye, and then Hal just hits the gas and hits him with the car.
Yeah, which is poetic if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he hits him with the truck first, and then Howard gets up, and C. Thomas Howell uses the shotgun to put him down.
You're right. That's the right order. Yes.
Yeah. And as I said, there was this weird kind of homoerotic moment reciprocated with C. Thomas Howell, where he just playfully rubs his hair with the shotgun. Now, it's maybe it's to check if he's dead, but it's just, there was some perverse tenderness to that. I don't know. Did anyone else get that vibe?
I did.
No, absolutely. I did. Absolutely.
Because it's a very, and it's not necessarily a sexual, it's more of a tender kind
of
thing.
It's just like
affection.
Yeah, it's more like you've basically become my life now, and now you're dead, and I don't know what to do with, so goodbye.
Yeah.
Can I move on now, or what do I do now?
What's tomorrow gonna hold?
What is tomorrow? What is my life now?
Yeah.
He's just fucking picking up. See, Thomas Howell's just picking up hitchhikers. So are you crazy? No, I'm got a job interview in Atlanta. Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of my car.
You weirdo.
You goddamn. He's constantly chasing. He never forgets his first. He's constantly chasing the high of that first encounter, but he can't. But he never quite reaches the
How
same.
Can you? How can you? It's Rutger Hauer. It's like, God damn it.
Like one dude tries to like give me all your fucking money. It's like, oh man, the last guy fucking murdered half the county for me. Like, come on, dude. Fuck you. I got a shotgun. Bang. Wait, what? But very much of that kind of thing. He just spends the rest of his life picking up hitchhikers to find the next Ryder.
Yeah.
It's just I need my fix.
He's got a fix. Can't forget the first.
So I was alluding to. And throughout the stream, probably annoying the shit out of Jen and Christian, that John Ryder was a big influence on a particular character, and that character was this famous chappie here. Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger cited Tom Waits and Rutger Hauer's um, Hitcher as an influence for his Joker because he is someone who has no regard for his own life or safety. He is someone with a totally ambiguous background, and he is someone who considers himself an agent of chaos. Christian Jen, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think that Ledger done was right in dipping into this character to try and channel his version of the Joker?
Well, for me, see, here's an interesting thing. Like, I'm just never in like anything. Sans Mark Hamill, I've never been a big fan of like Joker in any any form really. They've never been one of my favorite Batman villains, and I feel like looking back at it from a modern lens, I feel like Ledger's Joker kind of hurt the character going forward because constantly anytime we did a Joker story, it has to be Heath Ledger and stuff. But looking back at the original Dark Knight and its own little bubble of just in the Nolan verse, it's a great idea that Ledger had to take influence from the Hitcher for it because it makes a lot of sense because it's the same ideas that even back to not really the 50s but more so back to the 70s with the reinvention the Joker got of that kind of was what they always were. Like you had backstories and stuff for them, but even in those stories they acknowledge I don't know, maybe that's my history. Maybe I'm lying to you for the sake of a joke or something, and very much just a senseless killer. And that's kind of to the T what Ryder is. So taking that idea for the movie, I think was a really good idea, honestly, on Ledger's part. He doesn't quite reach the same level of intensity or interest for me personally as Ryder, but that's probably because Ryder's played by one of my favorite actors of all time with Rutger Hauer. Ledger's very great actor, but it never quite reached the same heights for me as Ryder. But it was a great idea.
But did you think as well, the other thing I think he took as well was the adversarial homoerotic kind of relationship between him and Batman. The bit where Joker's in the interrogation room, he's like, "You complete me," and I just, does he want to kill him? Does he want to fuck him? It's a fucking coin toss,
The answer is yes for that. Absolutely. And as much as I have issues with some of that stuff, and how it affected Batman stories going forward, for the context of the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight alone, it works really damn well. Now, when fucking Zack Snyder tried to do the goddamn same thing in Justice League, but way worse because it's Jared Leto's Joker, that's a little bit more arguable. But yeah, I actually do like that they really do bring in a lot of the feel of Ryder into Ledger's Joker. But I've been talking a lot. What about you? Because you actually like the Dark Knight, unlike me.
Yeah, I'm one of those cliche bitches. I really love, and I was I'm starting to get into a little bit of superheroes, at least some of them. But Batman was the only thing I was really familiar with up in that time, and I always was like, wow, this is one of the best Batmans ever. But as for what I take away is yes, I do see Ledger, but I also think he's doing a very unique spin because where Rutger Hauer is quiet and does it, and he's loud and bombastic. But he doesn't say a fucking word for most of it. A very little dialogue. He does his speaking through his eyes and his actions. Heath Ledger does it. He goes over the top. He's loud and bombastic and very eloquent and can't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, can't shut the fuck up. Rutger Hauer, John Ryder blows up a garage. Heath Ledger blows up a hospital.
Yeah, exactly. They're two sides of the same coin, and I happen to love both of those coins. For me personally, just because I grew up with The Hitcher. This is one of those movies that, oh my God, I fucking love this movie, and I'm also in love with Rutger Hauer, one of my favorite actors. Love the man, and the point goes a little bit more to Howard, but I really do love Heath. I can't lie. I'm a cliche bitch. I love.
But you can see the springboard of
Yeah,
his
yeah,
version of Joker in John Ryder, though, right?
Absolutely.
yeah, they're two sides of the same coin. Yeah, they're just quieter, louder, but they're basically two, and they're both crazy, and they're both willing to. They don't care what it costs. The cost does not matter a one iota to either one of them.
And this has nothing to do with anything, but I don't think I'll ever have a chance to say it. But like, I still don't know what the fuck Heath Ledger was talking about when he said he had influence from Tom Waits into that performance. As a massive Tom Waits fan,
The
I don't
voice.
think of it.
It was actually the voice. If
Yes,
you listen, there's an interview with on Tom Waits is on Johnny Carson, and he's talking to Carson, and Waits' voice is like kind of weird, fucking gawky, kind of nasally way of talking.
I guess I can kind of see that. When I think of Tom Waits, I think of like the super gravelly, like Rain Dogs era Tom Waits.
God's away on business. I get you. But apparently it's I saw it immediately. If you watch his interview on Johnny Carson, you can see fuck, that's Ledger's Joker. But I love the character, Agent of Chaos, and he's a dude who's just really fucked in the head and really fucking bored, and finally found a friend to play with. Again, it's like that fucked up thing between Batman and the Joker. It's like, in his demented head, he's like, oh, I found a friend that I'm gonna play with, kind of fucking thing. But it's fantastic, and it has gained cult status and notoriety, but I still think more people need to see it. What would you put this in a double bill with? What would you recommend people watch this in a double bill with?
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
That's an interesting double feature, but it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they even came out the same year.
Yeah.
Or at least very close to each other. Oh, man. I don't know. Like, stylistically, there's not a lot that came out around that really it has a similar feel to it. Now, again, not really for anything about, but just like how some of the ways it utilizes its filmmaking technique, like the original Texas Chainsaw a little bit, even like maybe it's due to the car stunts and stuff, even like the original Mad Max a little bit too, like just because it constantly feels at a lot of points with this movie, much like to the original Mad Max, it's like, oh shit, we're like 5 seconds away from somebody getting horribly injured on this thing because you're just sitting there. Whereas that one was because like it was like a rookie newbie filmmaker doing dangerous stunts. This one's just like, oh shit, is Rutger Hauer just gonna get too into character and start fucking killing the crew?
Sorry,
shit, got too into character there, guys. Sorry about that.
I'm cheating, and Christian's gonna be like, you fucking cheating bastard. I'm gonna put this with another Eric the Red fucking thing and put it up with Near Dark.
That also works really well, honestly. Yeah, I can see that being a pretty good double feature as well.
Like the American fucking road horror fucking saga. Fucking, I love to see a comic book where the fucking station wagon with Severin and all of them pull up, and Howard's like, hey, he just.
That would be amazing to see. That would be amazing to see like that cast of vampires interact with, because all of them are kind of like just pure chaos incarnate, just designed to kill and destroy.
Who would you root for? Who could you fucking root for?
Obviously, Rutger Hauer.
I guess Ryder, given the fact that like I love Near Dark, but like. Fucking most of them are terrible people, and like fucking Lance Hendrickson's a full-on Confederate soldier in that movie, so like fuck him. Love the movie and love his performance and the relationship with Diamondback, but like, yeah, I guess I'm rooting for fucking Ryder on that one. Put me down for that.
I could see Severin. You can join us. We won't even change you. We like your fucking cut of your jib.
Severin would absolutely love to get a vibe with Ryder really damn hard.
But again, guys, that's the Hitcher. I recommend watch it in double feature with Near Dark. Jen recommends Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and Christian, TCM or Mad Max?
TCM or the original Mad Max, or Near Dark, honestly. Not to steal your answer, but that fits really well too.
Again, that's a cheat because they're both Eric. I think Eric the Red maybe had some residue of this movie still in his noodle when he was writing fucking Near Dark.
Probably.
yeah, this movie, if you haven't watched it, fucking check it out. It kicks ass. So my gorgeous girlfriend and my lady, what have you and Christian have in the pipeline for Halloween? What's next for Jen's reviews from the grave? What's the next episode? Or do you want to keep that under your hat?
Well, you'll have to tune in tomorrow, but I can tell you what today is because we just went to the theater last night and Saw, and not to spoil our review, but if you can, get your asses to the theater because the hype is real with this one.
Saw X is really damn good.
Yeah, the hype is real with this one. If you can, get your asses to the theater because it will enhance the experience. If you can't, check it out when it comes out, but if you can, go to the theater. This is if you could only go to one, movie theater experience for
Oh
the
my
October.
God, I love it. You sound like a trailer for if you only see one movie this Halloween.
I mean
Make it so.
Like, I know there's other movies coming out too, and maybe The Exorcist is going to surprise me. I don't think so, but who knows? But I would put my money on the safe bet and play it with Saw.
It's October.
Go play again.
You heard it first here. Jen's reviews from the grave said, Seesaw.
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 Up and down, over and over again. Absolutely.
Kramer's back, baby.
Absolutely. But yeah,
he's not dead.
You can go watch that because that just came out today. But if you don't want to, you can come over to our channel tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that, all through October, because we're doing 31 days of Halloween where we're reviewing a different horror flick every day of the month leading up to the 31st. And this year's theme is Grab Bag Round 2 because, to put it simply, this year kind of kicked us in the ass and killed all of the plans we had for actual October this year. So we kind of had to scramble and put together a quick assortment of random movies that have no correlating themes. But we like a lot of movies we're talking about.
Yeah, not to suck our own dick, but we do. There's a lot. Yes, this month we'll have a lot more newer movies out than we usually like to include, but we did dig up a few oldies but goodies that a lot of people don't talk about.
Especially for tomorrow's video.
Yeah.
Highly low-key, I won't say what it is, but tomorrow's video is low-key one of my favorite discussions the two of us have ever had in a video. So maybe check that one out.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
I'm definitely excited for that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you,
after
Marty?
you. No, after you.
No, I was just going to ask.
What about me? I'm hoping to get a figure all the way from your side of the world that I ordered about 5 months ago.
Ooh.
So hopefully it'll arrive. Hopefully I'll have a review for the Feral Predator up. And again, I have to do a couple more video game reviews because apparently that's what people like. That's what I do now. I'm a video game YouTuber. No, I don't tell my mom I hate her and drink Mountain Dew and just fucking threaten girls' revenge porn. I'm not a video game YouTuber, honestly.
Right, we have to have porn then. You have to do porn so you can revenge me.
That's how you gotta become that's how you become a real MLG God Gamer trash picture show.
And sometime this month we will be having a trash fire review of Marty's never seen Orphan First Kill, and oh boy, I can't wait to show you that, darling. It's gonna be a hoot and a holler, I promise.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go fuck my husband. That will make sense when you watch the movie.
It's awesome, darling. It's symbolic incest. Whee!
So yeah, have a good night. Goodbye. And Jen, Christian, thanks for joining me.
When are we gonna do Orphan First Kill, darling?
Fucking my husband.
Fucking hell. God damn it, Christian. Anyway, right, with that, I'm going to end it here. Oh, you have a decade's worth of goddammits. Don't worry. Right, with that, I'm going to end it here. Big thanks to Jen and Christian for stopping by, talking about this flick. Also, big thanks to everyone who else stopped by. Everyone else. I'm tongue-tied tonight. Big thanks to Mr. Dine, Full Moon, Lightsaber Addict, Strange Monkey Reviews, Russell Tovey, Jason Callan, And where's he gone? DMC Campbell. Big thanks to everyone who stopped by. He kicked ass. And big thanks to my gorgeous girlfriend and her gorgeous Sparky as well for stopping by. And yeah, make sure you check out their videos. Have a good one.
Call them gorgeous. I'm the only way you can call gorgeous. I'll fucking cut them. I don't care they're my child. I will cut them. Are you trying to steal my man?
Fucking my husband.
And with that, good night.
Like, I'll fucking